menu that you can't figure out. A lot of their identity is about this, I am a struggling reader or a non-reader. And John Corcoran that you talk about, he's actually a dear friend of mine now. I met him about 10 years ago by picking up the phone and calling him. But in the same thing, he describes it as a hole in your soul that is really, once it's there, it's very challenging to fill it up, even after you become a good reader and writer, and this is not an issue in reality anymore. Still mentally and emotionally, it's very challenging to give that up because so much of your identity is wrapped around it, especially for adults. When we have adults that come to us, they don't really expect that we're going to teach them how to read because no one else ever has, and most of them have been to everything under the sun. And then we do. And I think that an issue with EBLI with adults, quite honestly, is that it works too well. It works too quickly. That's my sense, because very quickly they become readers, and then the thinking, especially from those who I've been able to have, get back after they disappear, is wait a minute. My whole life has to change. I'm going to have to change my job. What's my wife going to think? She's always been the one that is the reader and does all the, what's going to happen? What's going to be expected of me? All of those fears, but also they still have in their mind, long after they become a good reader, that I'm not a good reader. There's a big lag there, between that. So the emotional and mental piece of it, and I especially think from high school on, is often ignored. And it's really important when people, their whole life and so much time and energy is wrapped around hiding this shameful secret that they have to, and then it's like, wait a minute, you're just shifting this whole thing for me, and I don't know what this is going to mean here for my life. So I think that can be really, an issue that isn't thought of often, both by the person who's going to learn. We have an adult that's coming in today too, and I talked to the interventionist that's going to be working with him and said, you have talked to him about how he is going to learn to read, and has he thought about that, so that we're addressing those types of things, and knowing that sometimes you might feel a little angst about that because it's changed, whether it's
a lot of angst.
Yeah.
Because everything turns upside down. So why I'm highlighting that with you is really to emphasize the power of belief and self-perception. And that's another thing that we work with the training that we're building and the coaching that we do, is to address limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behaviors, and transcending that.
Yes.
And how important it is. The last thing I wanted to say, Nora, to you, is that you are proof that one person can change the world.
Aww.
And you've stepped up to that role and taken ownership of it. And you are a gift to the world for doing that. And I just want to express my gratitude to you and to say what an honor it is to witness what you're up to.
Oh, that warms my heart, Mira. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is, it's exciting work for sure. And, I don't know, we just keep moving one foot in front of the other and keep moving toward, doing for the best and highest good.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
So as just parting words, do you have any other resources you might want to recommend? Any kind of particular action steps or ways that our listeners can support you in your mission?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, our website is just ebli.com.
That's EB as in boy, LI.com.
Yep. The I sometimes gets people in that. So yeah, ebli.com. And there's a lot, if you scroll to the bottom of our homepage and you click to our YouTube page, it's called EbliTube. If you go there through YouTube, there's so many great videos on there that explain more about the English language, and there's just a lot of interesting information in there. Another resource from our website would be to go into our blogs. We have amazing stories from schools that we interviewed, and different, stories from clients and that type of thing. Those are always heartwarming, but there's also really good informational stuff, like all kinds of books for different levels of readers. There's a great blog in there that we always send our teachers to. It's called Activities to Accelerate Learning. And it's a lot of, what do I want to say? cognitive processing training that's movement type of things. And there's videos in there of me doing this with kids, and also there's directions of how you can do it yourself. If they work for anybody, any of us, to really improve learning. So there's a lot of different interesting things in there. So those are some of our main ones. I highly recommend The Reading Gap that Mira talked about, John's book. He also, if you want to hear his whole story, for the most part, he's got a book called The Teacher Who Couldn't Read, that tells his whole story, how he ended up and got through high school and college, and being a high school teacher of history and English and phys ed, he did for a little bit, for 17 years without being able to read at all and write at all. So he talks about how that happened, and people think, oh, that's so odd and strange, but it really isn't. There's a lot more, many educators who are struggling readers that I have worked with and taught too, both in training and at our reading center. So
Well, what we'll do is we're going to have links for everything that we discuss here on the podcast notes page on sustainabilitynow.global. And if there are additional resources that you want to give us, we'll make sure that we make them available to folks. So, Nora, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, and thank you, Mira. And anybody who's listening, I just appreciate all of you. I love telling the story and doing whatever is possible to promote literacy and get it out there.
Great. So I just want to say thank you to all our listeners. We couldn't do this without you. You're the ones out there making it happen. And I also want to say thank you to our producer, Scott Billy. And that's it for today. I'm your host, Mira Rubin. Until next time, live your best life, love the world around you, and together we can save the world.
Thank you for listening to Sustainability Now, produced by Scott Billy. Visit sustainabilitynow.global for resources related to today's program. And be sure to subscribe, share, and follow us on social media for more solutions to shape a world that works.